Hello, my name is Angela Davila, and this is my mentor text set. I used the teacher edition book, My World Social Studies Building Our Nation. And this would be my table of contents. Chapter 1, Expanding West and Overseas. Chapter 1 covers the westward expansion in the United States and how people learn to adapt to their new environment. And these are the texts that I chose were important for this chapter. This book is called is named Westward Expansion. It gives brief descriptions on the people and events during the Manifest Destiny and the American West. It has a table of contents so that it's a short chapter book. For this book, I would have my students use a vocabulary beach ball, which I would write important vocabulary words and then throw it to the student, and that student would have to define the word or use it in a sentence, depending on where their thumbs landed. Expansion of Our Nation, the Indian Removal Act, and the Trail of Tears is one of a series on Western expansion by Susan E. Hammond, and it basically explores the Indian Removal Act and the effects that it had on many Indian tribes. For this book, I will use sequencing the events using this graphic organizer that I created, and have students write what happened first, next, then, and finally after the Indian Removal Act was passed. Great Pioneer is basically an activities book where students get to either build or create some of the tools that they used to use back in those days back in the pioneer days. And I would use a compare and contrast, have them look into the printing press and compare and contrast the printing press and the modern day printer using a Venn diagram. Chapter 14 covers everything that happened that caused the World War II and what happened during the World War II. And these are the texts that I chose for this chapter. Number the Stars is a chapter book by Lois Lowry, which is about a little girl named Anne-Marie Johnson and her family helping her best friend Ellen and her family and other Jews escape from the Nazis who have taken over their home. For this book, I would do a journal entry anytime we are done reading a chapter out loud, and they would just write their thoughts or what they think what they think is going to happen next, according to what they have read. The U.S. Army in World War II is about the Army's participation during the war by Peter Benoit. For this book, I would use a Fraser model and choose an important vocabulary word that students are not familiar with and have them write the definition, draw a picture, use it in a sentence, and then write a way that they are connected to that vocabulary. Rosie the Reverter is about when women were pushed to take jobs that men left when they left to serve the country, and then once the war was over, they were basically obligated to quit their jobs and take care of their family. For this, I would do a nexus slip, answering the question where I would have the students answer the questions. Do you think it was fair to women to be without a job once men returned from their war? I would like to see what they think about this topic. Chapter 16, American Changes, covers everything that happened after the World War. That includes baby boomer, civil rights movement, the era of Ronald Reagan, and just other important American changes. And these are the texts that I feel like they connected to the books that I chose and were the most important in this chapter. Through My Eyes is a story about Ruby Ridges. It's an autobiography, so she did write the book. And she basically describes what she thought at the moment whenever she was walking through a mob of screaming segregationists on her way to school. For this, I would use a roll and retell. This strategy is fun and entertaining, and they basically roll a dice and answer one of the following questions that I would create. Who was Ronald Reagan is describes the life of President Ronald Reagan. I would have students summarize important events and discuss it with their partner. And lastly, we have If You Were a Kid During the Civil Wars, which is about a girl named Joyce Jenkins who is attending a segregated school, and her and a friend find themselves in the middle of the civil rights movement. For this, I would use concept maps and have students organize their ideas using this graphic organizer on the events that led up to the civil rights movement and why they are so important. Thank you for watching my mentor talks.